I too, and we were all very complimentary earlier on tonight with the bill regarding maternity leave and many other pieces of work that you've done since you took over your position. But this is crazy. And as I said last night to Minister Darragh O'Brien, Deputy Vice Morris called them bills. I'm calling them acts. You were both last night back Minister Minister O'Brien had brought forward 22 acts. I said he's not in the Gaiety or the Abbey. This is the House of Parliament where it's supposed to have proper scrutiny of legislation. It's like John Wayne and the old Westerns. I mean, not just on your belt. This is gung-ho. This is crazy. I beg your indulgence, Leslie Cora. My late father-in-law, Nicholas Sherlock, was chairman of a Tidabna Group Water Scheme Monaghan. Him and Sean Clarkin, Chairman, say one of the most successful schemes, one of the biggest schemes, with over 600 houses. I know I'm cutting it short in that. And a wonderful scheme. They still have control over it. And they're not being respected or supported at all. But we have Irish Water, HK and RV, call it what you like, give it new fancy Irish names and whatever. And they're running amok. Do what they like. And in deference to Deputy Vice Morris, I have a problem with pumping water from the Shannon up to Dublin when there's 48% leakage. Fix the leaks first, and then I'm not anti-Dublin at all. But we have a huge issue with water. And I said this here this morning in another debate, 12 hours ago or more now, that I would talk about climate change and talk about everything. I remember as a Buchalog, breaking ice on the ponds before the cows were out from the cow house had to be milked. I break them with a sledge, a 7-pound sledge, or maybe sometimes a 14-pound sledge. We can hardly lift them. To break the ice is so thick. So we're being attacked and indoctrinated in all measures that way as well. But Irish Water have too much control. And we have clean rivers and we all want clean water. But I 100% agree with Deputy Vice Morris. We take the water from source and we pump it to the treatment plant. It's costing a fortune. And of course, now water is free to everybody except business people, farmers, and the cost of the water was never explained in that debate with Big Phil, the enforcer, I called him at the time, former Minister Hogan. The cost of extracting it, the cost of pumping it and treating it, and then pumping it on and keep maintaining the service is enormous. So there's no such thing as free water. If you do water like I did with a horse and car and pumped it from a pump inside the road with my brother, older brother, and 5 gallon drums into barrels and try to give it to cattle, and you know this too, give it to cattle on a heat wave day, and they knock you off the thing, and you couldn't do it. So water is a valuable resource, great to have it, and it must be respected. But Irish Water can't get all these powers. And the ESB as well, and you know much more about what goes on in the Shannon than I do. I only hear about it and pass through and see the flooding when Box of Morning was here and listen to them. But the way that they maintain the levels there and the dams on, and the way the farmers suffer. But instead of the carrot and stick, we all the time have to see the bottom moor and we're demonising the farmers as if they're evil people. There's an odd, very odd now at this stage, careless farmer who might have slurry spills and might have wastage and no farmer's going to spill slurry in a wet day, in wet weather. And it's all calendar months now, which is crazy. It should be climatic conditions when you spread your slurry, as they'd want to do, to get the maximum benefit of not runoffs. And they don't want to have runoffs. But you have calendar months, all EU decisions. So we need somebody here to do a special office set up here for BS detection, what comes from the EU. And I won't describe what I mean by BS, I think most people understand it. And to be unparliamentary if I did. And it's just shocking. And I honestly believe that, I mean, every farmer should be able to get the water from his own river passing by him and use it. Because the cattle, it isn't so long ago since the cows were standing in the river, and the cattle and the bullocks, the whole lot, drinking from the river, and the sheep. And as a sheep farmer myself, and my son is farming now in the mountains, the Knockmale Downs, they get the water from the little streams. And they drink it, and they're happy, and they graze, and I find the sheep you get. I had a man one day come into my office in Clonmel, Vale of Honey, and he said, I made my living, he said, my brother, out of catching eels in the river shore, and selling them to Clonmel Arms. Unfortunately, Clonmel Arms is a derelict building, and I spoke about that today as well. And he said, now there's not a Neil in the River Shore. And we have a spanking new treatment plant, as we have in Carter and Eastleigh, and we have in many other towns. And the water is pristine, clear looking. But what the hell are we treating it with? Because there's not a vegetarian, there's not vegetation, or there's not a Neil, there's nothing in it. So are we doing more harm than good with the filtration process and what we're adding to the water and what ingredients is going into it and those treatment plants? I think we are. because something has changed that there's not a Neil or any other trout or anything else in the river south of those treatment plants. And I'll finish with this last Cola. You'll be delighted to know the damage and the pollution being done by villages. In my county, I could name 30 that are spewing raw sewage into the rivers. And the EPA is supposed to monitor them. And I met them one day in the river shore in Coshlaneo, my own village, and I was going in checking. I said, we're not going down 300 yards downstream, below the outlet pipe, full outlet pipe from a big tank moor, just an ordinary thing, no treatment, belching into the river. So the people are sick and tired of this, and it's all sticked in and punishment and labelling and licensing for farmers. And the EPA turning a blind eye to the biggest polluters of all. We have it on the coast here in Dublin as well. We have it in many places and cities, and we're losing our green flags, our blue flag status and everything else. And just to finish, my family are traditionally potato growers, and a couple of dry summers in recent years, they needed water, large volumes of water to irrigate the land. And it's terrible to God they can't get it out of the river. I'm not saying they were going to drain the river dry and they have no water for the fish. No, not reckless. That they couldn't get water, they can't get water now without a licence and permission. Definitely, if Fitzmaurice is right, I wouldn't go as far as the bedrooms in the houses, but certainly Big Brother's watching us here, to where we wash, work and play and rinse and do everything else. And many's the day we had no running water, and we did it all out under the bushes. And what for in spare? Gormagud.